Okay, so now this Mr. Mumtaz, he has already taken charge of this software, so he's just going to tell you that this Smart PLS is there. Uh, if it would be great if you can also open this Smart PLS, and from here you can create a project. From the project name, we can just write here maybe so workshop day 1, and then we can make it okay. So this would be coming in front of you. Okay, now we can just double click on this to import the data. I have already shared with you the data, and I have already in the morning I have already shared the files with Nash as well to give you the updated data. And now the data has been imported here into this particular system. So you can see that if you are able to, it would be great that if you could follow us in the Smart PLS to to implement this one.
Sir, मैं कोई फाइल चेंज करूँगा? Yes, sir. Friends, this is me, Mumtaz Khan. I would be leading here now how to use PLS Smart. Okay, so right now you have got the data, but sometimes the students have some other issues. To start with those issues, I would look at this. See, when as a beginner we are working with PLS Smart, so there are some of the things. We must have the clear understanding of our questionnaire, that what are the items in it. What are the items in it? So here you can see that I have shown the questionnaire. First of all, at the top there is the questionnaire of servant leadership. Along with the next, if you would see, you can see this. The first question is environmental specific servant leadership, and it has got 12 items. Then the second one is environmental passion scale. It has got almost 10 items. In this way, there are the other variables. And right now, see, when we download our data or get our data from this Google form, so it would appear in a different format. What will be the format? If you see, then you would tell me that it's apparent to you. This is the raw data. Can you see this data? This raw data where the numbers are there, and the statements I am engaged, or the whole I would show you. I'm encouraged by my leader, and this way all the things are there. But the problem is that if we get this data on our software, so it would not serve the purpose. So in fact,
I'm not seeing the data. I'm still seeing your Word file actually.
Okay, yeah, I would. Now you can see. Here you can see that I have written I am encouraged. In this way, all the statements are there, but we are not going to upload this data on the software. In this way, there are some other issues. You can see this. There are some words. Here you can see that very often, never, always, and these needs to be changed as well. So if you have the scale with you, so there you would know that never is 1 and always is 7, and the other rating you would know. So through find and replace, you can change them. So once you have done it, so then you would have a data like this. I would show you another file, and for that I would be making some changes. Okay, here it's the final data. I would change the Now you see the new data. Here what we have done, those items which were related to servant leadership, they have been accordingly numbered, and the process is very easy. Once you have written SL1, just dragging it, okay, it will be changed into, for example, I make it SLA1, for example, okay. So now what I would do is I would be dragging it, so it would change the number. So see here. So the work is quite much easy. So now I'm going to bring it back to the original. So all the items need to be numbered in this way. Uh,
So this is what the statements have been, the long statements have been coded into the codes which we discussed previously in the slides. That, for example, there was a complete statement. That statement has been replaced by the codes. So each item has a code, and now this code would be representing the items in the smart PLS.
Now coming back to our PLS Smart grid cell. Coming back to the PLS Smart file, you can see this here. Uh, all the items you can see here, servant leadership, passion. Okay, this is one of the variable which I did not use in the model. Pro-environmental behavior, pro-environmental work behavior, all the items are there. Once I've got it, now I'm in a position to start the work on it. So see here, this.
Sorry, sorry, I have to stop you there because when I try to import the file data for practice, it doesn't get into my PLS software.
Yeah, in fact, I have shared with Nash the updated data. There must be some missing observation there. I have in the morning, I have emailed him the new data in that the data is clean. So that you have to just in the morning, are you uploading the latest one, which was shared in this morning, or it was shared last night?
I am afraid it was last night.
Yeah, so I hope that if you
Let me
would be
try that.
using the data which have been shared this morning, it would be okay. Yeah, because that data is clean. So that
Okay, so
data,
and the file name is data for practice. Am I right?
yeah, the file name is data for practice. If the Nash is hearing, maybe I can share with you again this data in the WhatsApp group if you are comfortable to fetch this, and all of you, and then maybe those who are getting problem, you can use this data file.
All right.
Okay, so normally, you know that in the Excel PLS Smart only fetch the file which has the CSV comma delimited format. It does not fetch the file which is normal Excel format. So remember that once you are importing the file into the Smart PLS, you have to have a comma delimited format of this Excel, because if you have some other formats, definitely it will not be getting your files accepted. So the sign of your file has been accepted in the Smart PLS for the further analysis is that you will be seeing the descriptive stats in front of you. Otherwise, it would be showing some error. There's a, for example, row this and line this and column this, that kind of error you would be facing. So again, I would request that those all you have received the data file, you can use this. Okay, one more thing, if you have a limited version, student version, you have to reduce your number of observation to the 99, because if you don't have a paid full version and you have a student version, you can use the 99 observations. And if you have a limited version for the 30 days, you can use the full 296 observations. So this is maybe that some of the participants would have a student version, so they can use only 99 observations. So you have to delete the 200 observations, just use the 96 or 97 observations for the analysis. So if your data is there in the CSV file and you have imported the data, so I'll just request Mamtaz to just move forward to just show that as to how we can run the model, or if there are other things you want to discuss.
Friends, now you can see it over the data there. You can see one workshop day one, and now you can see the symbol. That is the symbol of model. So if we look at it, so now you see the space available to you. You will develop your model here. So I want to increase the space size for me. So I have removed the things. Okay. So now you can see that there is a space and we can work on it. So now here you can see there are indicators. Okay. Now, for example, I have to select some indicators. So how I would do it? I have pressed the shift and down arrow and I'll come down to 12. Okay. Once I've done it, so I would drag it and I would bring it here.
In fact, this was the first variable, which is the environmental specific servant leadership. It has 12 items in the questionnaire, which was recoded as SL1 till SL12. So now we are drawing the first construct, which is the independent construct here in the SmartPLS, this Mr. Mumtaz is showing. So all he simply has, with the shift and arrow, he has selected all the items of the first construct and dragged and put over there. Likewise, I think he'll be doing the same thing, to putting all the variables over there, and then he'll connect them.
Along with it, what I'm going to do, see here, as I have dropped the variable here in this space, its name is latent variable 1. So if I continue with this, so at the end, the result which I would be getting, they would not be so meaningful for me. So if I rename it, I write it servant leadership or environmental specific servant leadership, so it would better serve the purpose. Sometimes when we have got so long a name, so we don't want to show the complete name. So what we need to do, we will just write ESSL. So that is the first thing. The participants are required to do to this much area. Have you done it? If the participants have done, so your yes would push me ahead. Now I'm doing the same thing with the second variable. It is environmental passion and it has got 10 items. What I need to do it after selecting them, I will bring it here. And again, environmental passion must be named. After naming it, I can press enter. So I'm keeping it here for you. The third one, now it is pro-environmental behavior. I would select its items. I have just pressed a shift and one is missing. Yes, now I've got all the items and I can bring it here. So I would name it pro-environmental behavior, renaming it, and you know how to rename it. You when I right click on it, so it shows me multiple option. Out of them, I would select rename. Okay, so I would show you once more. Right click it and see at the top there is rename. It can be done quite easily. The next or the last variable is this work behavior, pro-environmental work behavior, and it has got 7 items. I'll drag them here. I would name it pro-environmental work behavior. To this point, what we have done, we have dragged down the items of each construct and we have named them. The participants of the workshops are required to do this much. Then I would proceed to the next step.
So I think everybody is able to
Okay,
import the data, and this. If somebody has any problem, please you can ask a question, or otherwise Mr. Mumtaz can proceed.
Sadiq has asked one question, that what is the requirement of minimum number of items? So in the case of PLS Smart, it even incorporates single item scale as well. So if you got one item, so it will work with it. So in fact, the more important thing is the theoretical underpinning of each construct. That is something more important. In this, for example, sometimes we are using second degree constructs. So once we combine them into one latent variable, so you would see sometimes they would be using single item construct as well. So number of items can be as low as 1 when we are using PLS Smart. Any other question up to this point? See, there are people who like to work with, see what I've done, I've selected all the constructs, and what I would do, I would hide the indicators. Now, it does not have much clutter, and the space and all the things are quite clear to me. So now I can have them closer.
So it's a right click and simply hide indicators.
Okay, to see it once more, show indicators, again, hide indicators. So the benefit is that we do not have much clutter and the things appear to be very much easy for us. Along with all those items can be evaluated with the help of the results which we would be obtaining at the end. So I think it is very much easy for us to understand. Have you worked to this point? Okay, as there is no input from the participant, so I suppose that they have done their work. Uh, uh, Participants, I have done it a bit faster, so I would redo it. In fact, we are working as if we are running our own model. See here, once we have made this construct, there is this connect. This connect, see, every independent variable will be connected with the next, which it is going to affect. Environmental specific servant leadership is being hypothesized to have impact on environmental passion, or it is considered to be a mediator. So see, now I have made the path. Okay. See,
you have selected from the connect.
This that would be of great help to you. See here, I also got the direct relationship between independent and dependent variable. So these are final target variables, and this is the independent variable. In between, I've got a mediating variable. Uh, Participants, have you to this point? They would uh, am I audible now?
Yeah, fine.
Audible now?
The line is breaking.
Of voice because I cannot see that in the second computer. Let me recheck. Hopefully now it's audible to you. I'm sorry, I must apologize for this inconvenience, but you know that sometimes there is a network is creating issue. I hope that now it's audible to all of you.
Yes, Dr. Sajjad. Clear
Yeah, so
enough.
thank you so much. So in fact, just before Mr. Mumtaz proceed, let me just give a recap that what he discussed. Maybe once he has already discussed, but again to repeat that the model which was previously shown in the slides, which is already being shared with you on the slide number 40. So that we wanted to check that how does environmental specific servant leadership affect the pro-environmental work behavior and pro-environmental behavior, and what does role environmental passion play in the relationship between two dependent and one independent variable. So we wanted to check that, and for that we were having the various indicators. We were having through questionnaire we got the data. The environmental specific servant leadership was having a total of the 12 items, which was Mr. Mumtaz has just drawn over here. And with this right click, we can just hide the indicators. As you can see, likewise, there was an environmental passion. Again, we selected the variables and dragged here, which was having a total of 10 items. Again, with the right click, I just hide this as already mentioned that to avoid the clutters. Likewise, the pro-environmental work behavior and pro-environmental behavior. So these were the variables. It's very simply where once we upload the data, so these variables are coming here in the indicator. You can just see that here in the shape of indicator they are coming. So these variables are simply selected. Maybe you can put keep cursor on one and then hold shift, and with the arrow you can select the relevant variables of that construct. After dragging that, he went to this connect arrow. With the connect, he clicked on the independent variable and then dragged all the way to the dependent variable, and then he could find that could draw these arrows. So once the arrows were drawn, now the thing is that we have to check, as I told you, that the first thing in the PLS SCM is to check the validity and reliability of the measurement model. So validity and reliability of the measurement model and estimation, all that, how do we run it? So for that, this is a panel which is called, either we can go from this calculate all the way. These are the certain strap having the various commands, and we can even use the other option, which is the calculate one. So we have this option. So both are the same. In the previous versions, you would see that this consistent PLS algorithm was after this PLS algorithm, but now they have put a separate. Before going ahead, I'm sorry, Mr. Mamta, just to explain a bit more. Just to explain you that what do we mean by these individual these strips. This first one is PLS algorithm, for what purpose it is used, then bootstrapping, blindfolding, to just give you an overview of these buttons or these commands, that for what purpose they are used. So the first is PLS algorithm. This PLS algorithm is used in order to get all the results of the reliabilities and validities. Once we click this PLS algorithm, as Mr. Mumtaz has already selected, and this started calculation. So these results are, all the results are here. You can see the results of R square, F square, constructs reliability and validity, which are Cronbach alpha, RHO, composite reliability, average variance extracted. All these results you can just see, these are here in the table format. Then we can also see the results of the discriminant validity formulaic criteria. We can find here the cross loadings, HTMT, which is the heterotrade monotrade. So these all results are here, and even the results of VIF, variance inflated factor, that is also here, we can also see. Right, and even we can also see the results of the outer loadings, which is the factor loading, and we can also see the results of the path coefficient. But the problem is that these paths, these are the only beta coefficients, not the results of the t values and p values. So putting in simple, this PLS algorithm, this PLS algorithm is used to compute all the reliability and validity values. So they are there, right? So what we do is, if you have a full-blown version of this software, so simply I can, once I have run this PLS algorithm, I can click here on the Excel. You can just see, once I click here on the Excel, it will export all of the data all in a one Excel format, right? So once I click on the start exports, it will starting exporting in the Excel sheet. Let me let me export, no problem. So I just put here, then it's asking for me to, that where I want to save it. I have just put it on the desktop. So now all the data is being exported, all the results are being exported here. So all the results related to the reliability, validity, they are being exported in the Excel format. But this luxury or this facility is only available in the full version, or you know, that limited version. Then I don't think so that limited version has this. So let me share with you that what I have got from that particular export file. So if you could just see that these are the results which I have got from by sharing this one. So these results have come into the Excel format. It's a quality criteria, R square, construct reliability, discriminant, and all that. So these results are there. When whichever I'll click, it will simply bring me over there to those results. So as to how these results would be interpreted, we'll discuss later on. But to just, this was just meant to show you that that how we can just you know, that get the results. So first let's run all the tests, and then we'll be moving on to, you know, that for explaining the results. So this was about the PLS algorithm. Then bootstrapping, I think that maybe you can explain that what, for what purpose the bootstrapping and blindfolding is done, and then we can run all the tests and then can get the Excel files, or even can explain the results here.
So as sir discussed with you that the algorithm, the purpose of algorithm is to bring the results of reliability and validity. Apart from it, bootstrapping, the purpose is to conduct inferential statistics. The t-test and the all the path models would be, the full path model will be there with the t values and significance value. And what we need to do, click on it. Okay, so we are just running the basic bootstrapping, not the complete bootstrapping. Okay, I've clicked on it, so now we would be having our results. It would take a little time. So now we have got the results. Similarly, sir discussed with you that how to export. Similarly, it can be exported as well. So as I exported, so I would tell you one thing that, see, previously the thing was named workshop day 1. So if we just write with it bootstrap. So then we would be, it would be easy for us to differentiate between the two. Usually I write algo with the first bit, which I get from the algorithm.
But even if you don't have that facility in your software to export the results, no problem. You can see this down panel here. The result, all the results are here. We can simply copy and paste directly into the table. So even that's not a big deal. That even if you can just see down in the panel there's the final results. There's a list. There is a list also in the base data and all that. So these could also be used for the explanation. So primarily, as Mr. Mumtaz has mentioned, that bootstrapping is used for the inferential statistics, means for the hypothesis testing. So all the results are there.
Now, see, first of all, we mostly work with this path coefficient and specific indirect effects. Path coefficients, what it shows that the, if I expand it here, all the hypotheses of direct relationship, environmental passion, pro-environmental behavior, and all of them are there. And now, try to have one thing in mind that when we run it, so all the arrows would be there with their results, but you are not going to use all of them. It would depend upon the hypothesis which you formulated in your literature review. If you do not have a hypothesis, so definitely you would be deleting it. One of the ways to export a thing, and I mostly like it, that this is Excel format. I click on it, and then what I can do that I can open an Excel file, and not this one. I would be showing you in a little while. So can you see the Excel file, or do I need to?
Please share.
Okay. Share content. This is the one. Oh. Now you can see this empty file. It has got nothing. It has got nothing in it. Okay. So now if I control V it, there I've got it. Okay. In this way. Now see here. So most of the time, see these words, you can see that original sample mean. We mostly have here beta or path coefficient. So I like to write beta here. So how can I get it? This symbol, and it will help me to put beta here. Fortunately, the first one is beta because the researchers mostly use it. So now the beta is here. So the remaining I would remove. So this beta is there. I like to remove this sample mean value. So standard error, I would be showing it with this. Now see here, beta is what the effect, how much effect one variable environmental patient will have on pro-environmental behavior. That is the beta. Now, along with every beta, with everything, there is some deviation, some what I would say variance. That variance is shown through SE. Now, this T statistic is the ratio of this. So, if you have got the basic formula beta divided by standard error, that would be providing you the T statistic. This T test is the inferential test, or the T value sometimes they write, and here at the end P value. Okay, can you see it if we just write relation here, or now these are our relations, the concerned beta values. If I look at all these beta values, so what they tell me? All the relationships are positive. Environmental passion have pro-environmental behavior, a positive impact. So I just look at the sign. I am not interested in the value of it. The quantification is not right now important for me. That I would be discussing with the help of F square or the effect size. But here I can see that all the relationship are positive ones. The second thing, I look at the B value, I find that the relationship is positive. Can I conclude this same result for the whole population? That thing would be given by the P value. And I can see all the P values are less than 0.05. So when they are less than 0.05, so it means that the results which we obtained from this sample can be concluded for the whole population. The last thing, how will I convert it into APA style table. So I've copied it, would open one Word file. So one Word file is there. Can you see this Word file? Mostly I write something here, but first I don't write it. Later on I would be giving it. So I've got this results with me. Now see, these results are sometimes disturbing. The things are so big, so we need to then bring some change. Now, first of all, how can I give the APA format? So if I click on it, so there are multiple ways I can put the lines myself, but a better and easy way, I can come down here and you can see this one. Can you see this? This has made the thing easier for me. What I need to do, I need to just remove this shading. By clicking on it, I have removed, not yet, okay. I will have to go once more. So where is this? All the things are. Yes, the shading is here. So if it is disturbing me, so, so this software or all these things are really creating some problem. So what we
I think what would be the better way? Maybe you can once explain, and then maybe we can move on. The best way would be that it would be better if we start from the reliability,
yes,
validity, and then comes toward the results. But nevertheless, this is good to show that one that even we can have this what we call it the table, but no problem, we can just move on to the software side. And the best thing is that what I would suggest, that first, that the PLS algorithm is used for the reliability and validity. We first export the results, and then first we discuss that. Then we move on to the path analysis, which is bootstrapping, and then the blindfolding. So
first of all, we would be having a look at the model or loading, this constructs loading.
So now you're explaining the results of the PLS algorithm.
Okay, so PLS algorithm, first of all, we are having a look at this outer loading. Can you see this outer loading? The whole values are not shown here. So what I'm going to do, I will copy this and I would take it to the Excel.
We have already this in the slides.
Yes, we have got it in slide, then it's okay. Okay, so if we see the slides, so that would be the easier way.
Okay, so let me just to summarize all that, we just once we run this model, after running this, we have got the results of the PLS algorithm, and those PLS algorithm results, now we have brought, what we are going to do, we are fetching the right results from there. So first of all, as he has mentioned, Mr. Mumtaz, that we have to fetch the factor loading results. So you can just see in the software that we can fetch this in the PLS algorithm. We can fetch these results of the outer loadings from here. So these outer loading results are the factor loadings. Do you remember that exactly what we discussed in the slide, that as to how we have to present the reliability results. So I told you that for the reliability results, we need to have first this one back alpha, we need to have a composite reliability, and we need to have a factor loading. It means that first of all, while analyzing from where we have to get the results of the factor loading. So this is the panel of, we run the PLS algo. Once we run the PLS algo, for example, this was the estimated model, and this was the panel of the results. We can see that lower part of the panel, and then once we click at the outer loading, these outer loadings are our factor loading. So we can since we have this is a full version, so I've simply exported the Excel file and copied and pasted all the factor loadings in our slides here. You can just see that in the slides we have copy pasted. So these are the results of factor loading. After factor loading, then we require the results of the reliability. We require the results of we require the results of CR. We require the results of CB alpha and AVE. So what we'll do, we just click here on the construct reliability and validity. We can find here that results of Cronbach alpha, results of composite reliability, and AVE. So simply we copy those results and paste on the slides. These are the results which we have here, Cronbach alpha, CR, and AVE. Now, based on these results, as I told you that how to, that present the results of the reliability and validity, we had a discussion, and then I showed you a table that this is the way we can present the results of the reliability and validity. So we have to prepare this table by using those results. So what we'll do, we have already taken the results, and those results are being converted into this kind of table. You can see this. So here the first is factor loading, then there is a CB alpha value, then there is a CR value, and then there is AVE value. So this is the first table which we have fetched from, or which we have taken from this PLS Smart by running only PLS algorithm. So I stop here. You just forget about till now about the bootstrapping. Just I stop here to ask you that were you able to get the results of PLS algorithm this by using this? Are you able to understand or not? So let's have a kind of a question answers, and then we can later on move forward.
Hello, Prof.
Yes.
Yeah, Prof. I see the data just now. The loading is based on the factors. So what if there is like some of the loading is 0.5, but the loading is overlap with the other factors as well. I mean like other variables as well. So how to delete that kind of problem, Prof?
You are saying about the cross loading.
Yes, cross loading.
So if, for example, if there is an indicator which has its own factor loading, but that factor, but it's, for example, this is, let's take an example that here we have the factor loadings of these items. This is what we call it factor loading, 0.897, 0.90. So these all are reflective constructs, and their items are showing that the percentage which is being represented by each individual item. Now, for example, this one is, this P8 is 0.598, which is that 60% almost of this item P8 is it is representing the environmental passion. Now, if, for example, if we load this item on pro-environmental behavior, even we can have its value of the cross loading from discriminant validity. We have this cross loading. So, for example, the P1 is for the pro-environmental behavior. So its loading is 0.84. Now the same, if we load the same variable, this PEB11, if we load the same variable on the environmental passion, or this what is environmental specific leadership, its loading is 0.558. But you are saying that if it is on its own variable 0.558, and on the other variable it is greater than that, for example 0.6 or 0.7, so it means that there is a problem with this particular item. This particular item does not have a kind of a that discriminant validity, and maybe this item, the simplest is to delete that item, or the recommended one is that we should go back to that item and to read that statement, that why it is it's why it's not loading well on its respective construct, and why it's loading higher on the other construct, right? So this is that could be, but to simply to say if an item's loading is lesser on its respective construct as compared to the other construct, so that there is a problem with that item. Put it in other words, if cross-loading is higher than the respective loading, there is a problem with that particular item. So you got my point?
Yes, yes, Prof. To add on that, Prof, sometime when I do with a certain item, when I remove a certain item, the other items loading will be higher, slightly improved. So is it recommended for us to do keep on trying, um, and to get the best result, or is there any specific way to run it and to minimize the cross-loading?
Yeah, okay, there are the two things. One is called the model parsimony. The other is called to keep the results in a better shape. So you are saying that to keep removing and to making it better. So the best thing is that if your AVE value is greater than 0.5, the movement your AVE value is greater than 0.5, whatever the factor loading is, just leave at that time. So your focus should be your AVE value, average variance extracted. So you should remove your items until the point you get your AVE 0.50. So that's it. Okay,
Thank you,
so
Prof.
there is a one question here. Somebody has limited version, so they can use. So you can use 99 observation of the same data. So please reduce the data file to 99. Save it as again CSV, delimited format, and upload it again on this one on the SmartPLS. So what we did simply was to let you know that we uploaded the data here. Once the data was uploaded, what we did, we this all the variables were drawn in this shape. How did we draw? Mr. Mumtaz simply selected the variables and put it over here. Once the variable was drawn, the first thing which we did, we went to the calculate and we clicked on the PLS algorithm. So this once we clicked on the PLS algorithm. So this provided us, this lower panel provided us all the results related to the reliability and validity of our constructs. So again, I repeat that once you go to the calculate and once you click this button of which is PLS algorithm, so you'll get all the results of the reliability and validity. So these all the results of the reliability and validity, what we did one by one. For example, the first we took the results of the outer loading, we copied them and we pasted in the slides. Then we took the results of this construct reliability, CB alpha, composite reliability, AVE. We copied them and we pasted in the slides. And then you can see that this was the table which we made. It is showing first the CB alpha values, factor loading values, then Cronbach alpha values, CR values, and AVE values. This is showing. So this was the first table which we were supposed to make. So from although till now we have not gone for the interpretation. So presently what we are doing is we are just running the software and just collecting or summarizing the results into the tabulative format which we require. We would be discussing as to how we have to interpret these results in very much detail tomorrow. So don't worry for that. That we'll be discussing results. We will be discussing each bit of the results in a greater detail. And even if tomorrow the workshop time exceeds, we don't have any problem because we just want you to ensure that that whatever we are doing, you are learning. So again, so that from the results, we have formed a table of reliability. Then the other table we have also got from here, just once we clicked on the discriminant validity, so we got the Fornell-Eichel criteria. So these values 0.858, 0.895, 0.73, 0.82, these values are the square rooted values of AVE. In other sense, this value, if you are coming from this construct, sorry, the value of AVE, for example, this value 0.73, which is of environmental passion. If you take the square root of the 0.73, it would be exactly the same, what we call it, the 0.858. So these values, the diagonal values, are the square rooted values of AVE, and they are being compared with the interconstruct correlation 0.71, 695, 68. These are the interconstruct correlation. So again, we have copied this one and pasted here. So the table has been pasted here. Then the value of HTMT, this is heterotrade, monotrade. We have simply copied from here and pasted again in the slides here. Normally, it happens that some of the research papers, due to the time constraint, they ask that only report formal Larkin criteria or HTMT, but we can copy the both values and we can report the both values, right? Okay, so these values are here, which have been, these values have been, these tables have been summarized by using the PLS algos software. That's just single command, which was calculate and PLS algorithm. So whatever the results came, on the basis of those results, we have simply we have simply summarized our first reliability and validity. I would request you that just do this at your software now, and if you have any problem in that regard, please just ask the questions. So once your questions are clear, then we'll move toward the second command, which is the bootstrapping and then blindfolding.
Professor, can I ask a question?
Yeah, please.
One is what if only the average value, the average variance value is less than 0.3, 0.5, and remaining other reliability and validity meets all the criteria? What does it mean? How do we resolve it?
Yeah. Okay. So if your AVE, average variance expected value, is low, so definitely your factor loading is some way compromising. It means that some of the factors, some of the items have the lesser factor loading. That's why the AVE is getting low. Why? Because the AVE is computed from the factor loading. So the higher the factor loading would be, the higher would be the AVE. So it means that there is a problem with your factor loading. So if your factor loading, the movement, you would eliminate the items which have the lower factor loading, automatically your AVE value will start improving it. So the primarily lower AVE is attributed to the lower factor loading.
Second question is regarding the data. We have these categorical variables like S and O, which is impacting, and it's neutral, like male, gender. So how do we introduce these things in the, because most of them are, it's in a Likert scale on the data, but how do we use this categorical variable in this software?
Yeah, so thank you again, a very pertinent question. In fact, you know that to use the cause and effect, all the data must be Likert scale. Means that if we are moving from 1 to 5, it makes sense that it should make sense in a way that 2 is higher than 1, 3 is better than 2, 4 is better than 3. So it's an ordinal ranking that should be there. In the categorical variable, for example, the areas, the geographical location, that Asia, Europe, America. So if 1 is Asia, 2 is Europe, 3 is America, something like that. So these are called the categorical variable, are the male, female, or the other, what are the maybe. So these are called the categorical variables. These variables can be used as a moderator, and these are called the categorical moderator. For example, we want to see that whether the results differ by male or female. So we can use this male and female as a categorical moderating variable. That it means that are gender moderating the relationship between two variables? So that could be used. So the categorical variable only can be used as a categorical moderator. This cannot be used as a independent Likert scale variable in the PLS Smart.
Second thing which I would like to share, the factor which would be having impact on the dependent variable, it would be coming from literature review or the theoretical base. As you conduct some literature review, so there you would find that a particular type of condition can be a reason for something. For example, I would say that in one country there is a democratic government, in the other country there is autocratic. So, for example, we are just assuming it. Okay, more of the democracy or just the democracy, presence of the democracy, more or less of democracy would be a Likert scale, or having democratic government or any other type of government, if it's having impact on the development of a country, so that will be a qualitative variable. So in both the cases, the result would be there, but the better result we would get when we have more variation in the variable. So mostly these type of variable which are called categorical variable, we use them as a moderator. But in fact, if theory is there, so they can be used as a factor to having impact on the DV.
Okay, so I hope that this would have answered your question.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, sure.
okay, so if again I repeat that once we started running the Smart PLS, this is what we call it a conceptual framework. So the conceptual framework has been exactly drawn in this PLS Smarts interface in a bit of that the way the PLS Smart asks. And as I told you that you can just see that these all are reflective constructs, reflective in a sense that the items, reflective items, that all the items are representing the major construct, means that if any of the item which is having lesser factor loading can be reduced. But if we model to formative construct, so we can simply click right, and there is the option that switch between formative and reflective. So we can simply switch and get the formative construct. So this is a formative construct, but we are not modeling the formative construct. These all are the reflective constructs. So this, once we put the model here, for the simplicity, we hidden this. We have hidden this all the items, and then we went to the calculate. We ran PLS algorithm, and we got these results. R square, F square, and all these results were imported to the were developed in these, summarized in these tables. Right now, this is the first reliability and validity results have been imported. Now in the step number 2, we go and we compute. Again, we click here. Okay, the very important thing which let me tell you as well, that these all these items can be easily, you can import, or you can, you know that in a lot of papers you need also to report the estimated model as well. These estimated models also need to be reported. So first, let's have a bit of the discussion on this estimated model. So here you can see that this model is PLS algorithm. So these are the path coefficients: 0.463, 0.356, 0.75. The path coefficient means the how much impact environmental specific leadership, for example, having on environmental passion, this is 0.71. Whether it is significant or not, we cannot tell now. This would be analyzed from the bootstrapping, right? Again, this is 0.16 is the coefficient of the impact of environmental specific leadership on pro-environmental behavior. So this generally, this model is reported. Since in this version, I can simply from here export file as a clipboard, and I can maybe simply click here.
You are muted, Prof.
Okay, sorry. So once you are done with this once you're done with this PLS algorithm, now we can move toward the bootstrapping. We click on the bootstrap and then starts calculation. So remember, this bootstrapping is used to test the hypothesis, to get the values of hypothesis, as Mr. Mumtaz already earlier mentioned, that simply this particular test is used to get the values of the p-values and t-values. So this is exactly as the way he has previously copied and pasted. The results would be copied and pasted over here. So together, putting simply, from these two values, from the PLS algorithm and from the bootstrapping, we can get all the related values, we can get all the related results, and can copy over here. These are the results of factor loading, these are the results of formula criteria HTMT, these are the cross loadings, and then these are the results of here, the beta coefficients. So these are results we have fetched from the software. You can see that these all results, for example, for the path coefficient, we have just simply copied and pasted over there. For as I earlier told you, for R square, we can get the results from here. From the construct reliability and validity, we can copy and paste results from here. For discriminant validity, so all the simply results have been copied and pasted over there. So in this way, in this session, before we conclude it, I just want to tell you that how we can fetch and bring the results on our table. So later on we can explain it. So then there's a third, we go to, once we have done with this, we go to calculate and blindfolding. So blindfolding is only to get the results of the Q square, which is the predictive relevance. So if once we have done this, so we have got the results of the Q square. So simply we copy, and we haven't to do anything presently, you simply will copy and paste the results over there. So then in the next session, we'll be starting to interpret the results. In fact, what we'll be doing in the next session, again, we'll be running this model, and then we'll be starting to interpret these results. But again, to repeat that these are the three major algos, or you can say these are the three major commands with PLS algorithm, bootstrapping and blindfolding, which are used to get all the results which we have today, which we have taken, right? So again, I repeat that PLS, once we click on the PLS algorithm, we can get all the results related to the reliability and validity. Once we click on the bootstrapping, we get all the results related to the hypothesis testing. Once we click at the blindfolding, we get the results of the Q square, which is predictive relevance. I can show you again that this was a PLS algorithm. I got the results of the construct reliability. I got the results of discriminant validity from here. I got the results of collinearity statistics, and even I got the results of R square and this F square. So these all the results I have already brought over there to further explain. After PLS algorithm, then I have gone toward the bootstrapping, and this bootstrapping has given us the results of the beta coefficients on the original sample, and then there's a sample mean, standard deviation, t-stats, and p-values on the basis of which we'll reject or accept hypothesis. So this path value results, again, we have taken and copy pasted over here, right? These are the, in the detail, you can also see this is a total indirect effect, as earlier I told you that, for example, that how much environmental specific leadership has indirect effect on our pro-environmental behavior and pro-environmental work behavior. This is total effect, which is showing that the total direct plus indirect effect. So all these we have already brought into slides for the discussion and for interpretations. And then after the bootstrapping, we have a blindfolding. This is only our Q-square results for the predictive relevance explanation. So till to this point, what we have done is simply we have run the model, we have drawn the model on the PLS, we have run PLS algorithm, we have run PLS bootstrapping, and we have run this predictive relevance, and simply we have summarized and brought the results into the slides for the further discussion. Okay, now what we do is that we have already shared with you a practice data. So I would request you that if you could please, those who have the limited version, reduce the data to the 99 observations. Those who have a full version, you can use the full data and run that model. And after running that model, simply summarize the results into the table, not more than that. So simply you run the model and summarize, get the results and summarize them into the tables. Tomorrow we can, we'll start interpreting the results, that what is the interpretation of the results. One more thing I can tell you, that if you have your real data and your real model, you can analyze your real data and real model, and you can summarize your results and bring tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll start writing, and believe me, trust me, that your results part of your paper would be ready, because I'll be letting you know that as to how to write the results, and you'll be writing the results, for example, about the reliabilities and validities. So those would be, you would be able to write your results as and when there. So if you would be doing that, it would be a great assistance to us, that it will help us to clarify that you have understood something, and then we can move forward. So today we are keeping till now here this formal session, but we both are available, me and Mamtaz, to address your queries. Those who want to leave the workshop, you can leave, but those who want to stay, you can stay. We are here to address your queries unless you are not satisfied.
Hi, Prof. May I ask a question regarding
Yeah, could you speak a bit louder?
Pardon?
Yeah.
Yeah, regarding this bootstrapping result. So now, how can we confirm the significance of the mediating effect of this environmental tension between the IV and the DV? How can we identify, is there any significance of this mediation effect?
Yeah, sir. Thank you very much. It's a, it's a quite pertinent question. You know that we have this one is total, one the path coefficients results. Now, what this path coefficient? Let's understand one by one. That what do we mean by this path coefficients? Path coefficient results are simply, what they are doing is that they are summarizing the results of this effects, A's effect on B. They are just summarizing. For example, in our case, these all arrows have been summarized. That, for example, environmental specific effect on environmental behavior, this beta coefficient has been summarized. In the path coefficients, then environmental specifics effect on environmental passion, environmental passion's effect on environmental. So every arrow's beta coefficient. But if I want to get to know that what is the effect of whether this environmental passion is mediating in the relationship between environmental specific servant leadership and pro-environmental behavior. So this is not being shown by the path coefficient, right? We have the two options. Option number one. Option number one is that simply what we do is that we can check, we can check the effect of first environmental specific leadership on environmental passion, environmental specific leadership's impact on the environmental passion, and then environmental passion's effect on the pro-work behavior, and the both coefficients simply be multiplied. For example, 0.71 be multiplied with the 0.35, so we can get the mediating effect. Number one, this could be the one option. Other one is we go here specific indirect effect, And then you see that this is a specific indirect effect it is showing. There's one thing Mr. Mamtaz yourself has done, you've written very long name. I will suggest all of you that we have done this mistake and we cannot see this. So you just keep the name as simple as possible so we can see the interface easily, right? So next time we'll also try to use this. So you can just see that environmental specific leadership, impact on environmental passion and its impact on pro-environmental behavior. This has been counted. So in the specific indirect effect, this one is the mediation is being used. So here this is purely for the mediation. You got my point? You want to add something?
Yes, Prof. But for this path coefficient, just now you mentioned multiply between these the leadership to patient, the coefficient, then multiply by environmental patient with the pro-environmental. But how can we know the significance? Because yeah, if we refer to the path coefficient, but if we refer to total indirect effect, we have the p-values to determine the significance of this mediating effect. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
In order to decide that whether the relationship is significant or not, the mediator role is significant or not. Because, as we discussed in the beginning, that run-of-the-mill method, the p-value. See here, the effect is positive. The mediating role is positive. Environmental patient successfully mediates the relationship between servant leadership and pro-environmental work behavior. It is mediating positively, and whether the whole result can be applied for the population, so look at the p-value. So this original sample value or the beta coefficient tells us whether the mediation is positive or negative, and then the p-value would tell us whether we can infer it for the whole population. So significance is taken on the basis of p-value. Direction of mediation is taken on the basis of this path coefficient.
Okay, all right. Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Nandita.
Okay, so you can, yeah, so we'll be looking for your more questions.
Prof, okay. Just to confirm with you, Prof, as we reporting all these informations, in PLS algorithm, we'll be able to report R square results, and in blind folding, we'll be able to report Q square. As for practice in articles or in our thesis, is that sufficient for us to report that both that two information, or should we go beyond that as to report F square and also small q square? Thank you.
Yeah, in fact, you also required to go for the F square and small r square. That's also, so that would be, we'll be discussing tomorrow. So this is the basic results which are essential. Now what else to report, that would also we'll be discussing. So yeah, these are the results which you have to report at every cost. So what are the other results? For example, in the research paper, if you do not report F square, that's fine. Even if you do not report R square, that's fine. I have myself, me and Mamtaz, we have I think 2-3 paper in the European Journal of Innovation. It's a quite 3 point something impact factor, but we didn't report that F square and R square, and even we didn't report the Q square in some cases. So, but in the PhD thesis, you must report, because PhD thesis, you have a lot of, that space to work with. So in the PhD thesis, you must report.
Okay. So in PhD thesis, we will be reporting all the available results.
All the possible, and in the PhD thesis, even you will be reporting that, for example, if you're deleting one item, what was the impact on AVE? Then if you're deleting the other items, all the iteration has also to be that reported, since you have a lot of space over there.
Okay, noted, Prof. Then tomorrow I will ask about the significance of the effects. I mean the interpretation of the results. And
Sure.
will you discuss also about the moderator if thing tomorrow, Prof?
Tomorrow, in fact, you know that what tomorrow we'll be discussing about moderator. We'll be also discussing about multi-group analysis. We'll be discussing about the PLS finite mixture, FIMIX, and importance performance analysis. So this is what we have planned to, but obviously this depends upon the participants. This depends upon you that how prepared you are. So if you'll be prepared enough that we can finish quickly this analysis part, then we'll be moving toward the part of first it will start from moderation, then it would be the multi-group analysis, then it would be PLS FIMIX, finite mixture, and then will be at the end it would be PLS importance performance metrics. So these all will try to cover in it.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah, Professor, just wanted to ask one more question. Like CTA, how to do it and how to interpret it? Could you please explain?
You're talking about importance performance analysis, you're saying?
Yeah, for say we don't know which is formative or which is reflective. So you suggested like CTA we can do it.
CTA. Yeah, CTA, exactly. Your CTA, I'll also be discussing CTA. It's very easy. Simply what you have to do, if I'm just, tomorrow I'll also be discussing, but for example, this one is a formative construct. I find it, for example, that this is a formative construct. I simply go on calculate and I go for the CTA, confirmatory tetrahedral analysis, and I start calculation. Now, once the results are done with, now what was my principal variable for which I wanted to have that is formative or not, this variable is environmental specific leadership. So I go here on the environmental specific leadership, I click here, and then I check these results. If these results, the lower value and the upper value and the lower value, if all the values have similar signs, for example, this is minus and this is also minus, and this is plus and this is also plus. If all the indicators have the same thing, or at least if the majority of the indicators have the similar signs, for example, this is minus, this is also minus, which is not the case. This is plus and this is plus. Okay, this one is 1. Then again, this one has different signs. This is minus, this is plus. So if the, for example, 20% of this have the similar signs, so it means that we can conclude that this construct is a formative construct. Whereas in our case, you can see that since this construct is not a formative construct, so you can see a lot of values with the differing signs. I'm talking about these low CL, low confidence interval, and higher up confidence intervals. This is minus, but this is minus plus, this is minus plus, minus plus, minus plus. So this is, I can explain bit in more detail tomorrow, but this is a very quick fix for the CTA.
And would you also there are a couple of more models, like SmartPLS, we have VAR-PLS. So that also employs slightly different model. Any idea like how the results will be same, will be different?
Yeah, that if we are talking about the advanced models of PLS, so obviously there could be more, and even now since the people from the secondary data, they have they have stepped into the PLS. So they are the very augmented versions of the PLS. This could be, for example, PLS with the impulse response is there. So, but whatever this SmartPLS is capable to do is, this is what we have the menu. For example, this can do your multi-group analysis. Permutation and multi-group analysis are almost related to same. It can tell you about if there's unexplained heterogeneity in the groups with the help of finite mixture. It can better tell you about the predictions. It can go for the importance performance analysis. So these are the menus of the SmartPLS. In fact, but obviously, being if the people, those who are in the econometrics, they have different variant versions of the PLS which are being applied, and there could be different a lot more.
Yeah, sorry. If we have this 35 variables, and out of which only 20 variables are meeting the requirement, so in the paper, how do we represent it? Remaining 15 variables, should we say we have asked the questionnaire and we removed because of reason?
Sorry, can you repeat?
So, suppose there are 35 questions or indicators, and out of which only say 2022 are meeting all the requirements or particular. So
Yes.
how do we present it in the paper?
Yeah, in fact, you know that once you will be writing that there were 35 items, then you'll mention that item number 1, 7, these items were deleted due to the lower factor loading. But for example, like in our case, we were modeling the absorptive capacity that has the 14 items, maybe if you have worked on it. So once we were modeling that in one of our recent paper, after analyzing and all that, we could end up with out of 14, the 6 items have to be removed because of the low factor loading. So then we noted down that 6 items were removed due to the low factor loading, and the removal of those factors have contributed to the AVE, which is now above the 0.50. Nevertheless, if considerable amount of the items you are deleting, so then it could be a problem. You know that this is something, 35 items, and for example, if 20s are going to be deleted, so it means that there was a problem in the pilot testing. You didn't conduct the proper pilot testing. So the chain of this research steps are interlinked with. So if we have a good pilot testing, if we have good adoption of scale and all that, so at the end of the day, we'll be having the lesser items to be deleted.
And another question, like in the Likert scale, when we ask questions, there will be some questions which may range from 1 to 7, or some questions which may range from 1 to 5. So when we use the data in the model, should we first standardize everything, or should we take it as it is?
Okay, so this question, one of the construct has got 5-point Likert scale, and the other is 7-point Likert scale. So you do not need to worry about the standardization, because this PLS Smart apply all the processes on the standardized values. So there is no problem, but mostly the practitioners, while developing the questionnaire, they suggest that we have same number of items in the construct. So if you are able to incorporate this suggestion in the beginning, so well and good. But if you are unable to do it in the initial stage of questionnaire development, so later on you don't need to worry about the standardization procedure, because as you would look at the something here, where it's I don't see here, it's so the thing is missing now. There would be the list of latent variable. All the latent variables are standardized. So it is running the process on the standardized latent variables. So you don't need to worry about making them one thing. What I would say that standardizing them. There is no need.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Thank you. Can we end it today and wait for tomorrow?
Yeah, so if any question do you have, we are here. So even if you have, yeah.
Sorry, Prof. The last one about the formative and reflective things.
Prof. Raja, I think, isn't it? We had also an email we had exchanged.
Yes, yeah.
So nice to have an interaction with you.
Sorry, Prof. I didn't introduce myself earlier. Yeah, I'm Prof. Raja's students. Prof, sorry, this will be my last questions.
No problem. You can ask as many as you want.
About the what do you call the formative and reflective constructive. You say we can use CTA to evaluate whether that will be a formative construct or reflective construct. I have in my model, for example, I have a construct of institution support, which have two dimension, which is a formal institution and informal institution. The dimensions are measured reflectively, but when my second order, it become I think it should become a formative because both two should form institutional support. So when I test, how do I test that whether it is a institutional support? I mean, whether it is a formative in CTA, or I can just leave it because the important part is to measure the first order construct.
So in fact, yeah, I think the CTA is better choice. You can just
Better
check with the
twice.
CTA. Yeah, exactly.
But when I run in PLS, it doesn't, when the first order is, I can get the result, but when I run, because in my second order, all the first order I have used disjoint method and combine become two variable, two indicators to form the second
Second
order.
order. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So when I use that, that doesn't reflect in my CTA. It doesn't capture in my CTA. It only captures the what do you call dependent variable, not the second order variable to see whether it's a CTA formative or not.
Yeah, in fact, for that purpose, you know that for the subconstruct, normally the recommended method is that you compute the variable average of all of the items of your subconstruct and put the subconstruct as the formative item of your main construct. So in that way, and then apply the CTA, so then you can get the results.
So that means all the indicators of my first order, I put it into one
Yeah.
construct and then put it as a formative and evaluate.
No, for example, you have the 5 subconstructs, or you have 3, for example, you have 3 subconstructs and each subconstruct has the 5 items, right?
Yes.
You take the average of the 5 of each. So now you have, so put these 3 subconstructs as the item of your main construct and formative items, and then you run the CTA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Prof. I couldn't catch that. I mean, I understand, but I don't know how to do it in
Just to
PLS.
show you that, for example, this is maybe like, for example, this is our environmental passions construct, and maybe it has these 2, for example, subconstructs.
Okay.
Okay, now we want to check that whether these 2 are the formative or reflective. This is what you want to check.
Yes, Prof. Yes.
Now what I'll do, I'll take the average of these 3, PEB3, PEB4, 5. I took the average, and then the average I put the, for example, their average is like P something, PEB4 or whatever. So that average is directly being linked to the environmental passion. And I also take, and it will become one item. I'll also take the average of all the indicators of environmental specific leadership, and I directly link it with the environmental passion. So then what I'll be having is, so I'll be having all the constructs have been converted into the 2 items. One item was the 1 dimension, for example, this one, sorry.
Prof, that's what I did for disjoint method.
So simply for it, you just, now from it, you just run the CTA. You'll get
Okay.
the formative or reflective. So
Okay.
I took the average and put it as an item. So then the CTA would let you know that these 2 are the formative parts of the are the reflective parts.
Okay. Understood, Prof.
All right.